And you're listening to Gender Queries on 100.5 FM, CFRO, Vancouver's Cooperative Radio. And joining us now is Vyria, who is the author of Catnip. Vyria, go ahead and introduce yourself and let us know your pronouns and tell us about the book.
Hi, I'm Vyria. I use she, her exclusively. And so Catnip is a book I just released. I started writing it last year in September. And the way I write my books is I serialize them as I go. So I post up each new chapter on Patreon and Scribble Hub. So, people can follow along as I write. And it's not necessarily going to indicate what the final book is necessarily because, editing. But yeah,
Right.
the book started with a very kind of silly premise. I like writing trans stories, in particular, like egg hatching stories. I like stories about, characters coming to find themselves in their identities, and particularly trans femme stories. Like that's the stories I want to tell. So this started with a very funny premise. What if an egg is turning into a cat girl, but doesn't realize the girl part and is a calico cat girl and isn't aware of the fact that calicos tend to be girls?
Oh,
Um,
I have a
yeah,
cat. I didn't know that.
calico cats, by and large, are going to be girls. You can find the rare male one here and there, but it is very rare. Generally, if you just assume, you're probably going to be right 9 times out of 10. So I thought that would be kind of funny, have a kind of an dense, oblivious egg who just doesn't quite pick up on that part, even as other characters do. So that was the impetus for the story, and then it kind of grew from there. So Catnip is a story about a space engineer who survived. So this takes place several hundred years past our time. Earth falls to a climate disaster. They're not able to save it in time, but humanity decides to retreat to the moon, go into long hibernation, and give the Earth time to replenish. And once they wake up, there's kind of a divide of, some folks want to go back down to Earth and rebuild it and do better this time. But some other folks are like, hey, there was some, crazy billionaires who ran off to start colonies elsewhere in the solar system. What about they clearly failed because we can tell there's nothing coming from there. But, you should go see what they did maybe. And we can see if maybe any of that can be salvaged. So that's the impetus. So Sol, the protagonist, is going to Venus to try to rebuild a colony there for the sake of their polycule. And along the way, like they arrive on Venus first to kind of get things prepared. And the colony is, of course, dead. Like everybody's gone. So they're kind of wandering through the wreckage of it. But in the course of that, they fall into a vat of mysterious substance that starts having changes on them. And in the process, they also meet an AI named Alexis. And with Alexis's help, they both try to piece together what's happening, what happened to the colony, because Alexis doesn't know either. She was confined, and wasn't given access to the rest of the colony, so she doesn't know. So yeah, it's a mystery of like what happens as they piece it together. Sol coming to terms with her identity over the course of the story, and then a budding romance between the two of them, and then how that's going to interact with the polycule and things like that.
Very cool. I also love the failed cryptocurrency colony.
Mm, yeah, I'm not going to say which particular billionaire I'm mostly, making fun of throughout this, but it's not necessarily just one either, though. Like the founder, which is the name I give for the founder of the colony, because he renames himself that. He wants everybody to know what he did. He's kind of a pastiche of a bunch of these kind of billionaires who think they can solve all the problems in the world, but we all know they just want to feed their ego.
Yep. Yeah.
So
So where can people buy the book?
So Amazon is the primary platform because that's where you buy books. But itch.io is also there. And then I also publish Drafty Digital. I'm not sure how to find Drafty Digital without the direct link. I've always just directed people to the direct link. But it presumably is on Barnes and Noble and Apple Books. And that's what Drafted Digital does. It gives you all the ebook sellers. But it
Cool.
should be
Yeah.
published, it's Catnip by Vyria Durav.
Do you want to spell that?
Yeah, author name is Vyria, and then last name is Durav, as in Victor.
Awesome.
So yeah, definitely check it out. If you enjoy it, like I said, I serialize my work. So my Patreon is linked in the book, and you can go there. And for as little as $1 a month, you can follow me as I write stuff. And my next project after this is a T for T lesbian isekai story to a Magitech world, because we've had enough of like medieval fantasy isekais. I think there's a lot of those out there. Let's try something a little different.
Yeah,
So
right
yeah,
on. Right on. So where can people follow you?
so Twitter is where I probably post most things. Scribble Hub is also where I post all of my free work. I'm a firm believer in making things accessible to people. If you can't pay, that's fine. As long as you read my stuff, that'd be great. So Scribble Hub has me on there as Vyria Durav, and then Patreon.
Yeah,
Those are my
right on.
primary platforms.
Yeah, we'll post links to that on our Twitter at Gender Queries.
Perfect, perfect.
Yeah. So thanks so much. This sounds like a really fun read. So I look forward to it.
Yeah, yeah. I hope you enjoy it. And if you do, not only do I write trans stories, but I'm part of kind of a larger writing collective of folks. So, people who follow my work are going to find other trans writers.
Do you have any favorites yourself?
I have quite a few, but in this instance, there's an anthology on itch.io that is a collection of mine and other people's like excerpts of our stories. So you can get a little hint and then go seek out the author that you like.
Oh, it's like a little sampler, right on.
Yeah, a little sampler. So I will go ahead and link that as well and provide that.
Cool. Well, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for